14,000 Lexingtonians opened their mailbox last week to find this card. It appears to be sent from Fayette County Public Schools, but it was actually sent from school board member Will Nash, using the district's logo and the district postage code to save money. The card lists statements about Mr. Nash identical to what's on his campaign website. It also says he wants to hear from you, directing recipients to district1survey.com. That site asks for your name and email address before you can fill out and submit the 10-question survey. Mr. Nash tells me this survey was all about getting to know his constituents in District 1.
My intent was to try to create more avenues and to make it easy. You know, the first thing that I received as a new board member was a board cell phone and a board email address. And that signals to me that communication is important.
A Fayette County Schools teacher whose voice we've altered to protect her identity is amongst several others who tells us something about this card felt off.
Why are we deceiving people into feeling like they got a mailer from the school system and now being told it wasn't from the school system?
But if he wanted opinions from those in his district, parents, teachers, and other board members want to know why Mr. Nash didn't send it out when he first joined the board last fall.
So there again, unethical. It's just really bothersome.
Mr. Nash tells me he just thought of the idea and says it has nothing to do with his campaign.
As I shared, there's an election in District 1 this November and there's an election in District 1 next November. And so there's literally no time that I might not be campaigning. And so that's a criticism that I just have to bear because there will be critics. And that's the nature of public service, I think.
After the use of phone numbers from the district, parents and teachers I spoke with say they're concerned that if they share their email address in the survey, they can't trust Mr. Nash won't use it for his campaign.
Well, I'm not, so let me state that clearly. And if anyone has that concern, I would just say don't share your email address with me.
He suggests just typing fake information if you're concerned. But the concerns don't stop there. This week, Mr. Nash handed me his receipts that he says proves he paid the $4,400 for the mailers. I called the company that mailed the postcards and asked them for a quote on $14,000. Their quote suggests Mr. Nash saved more than $1,600 in shipping using the district's nonprofit code. On Monday night, the chair of the Fayette County School Board read a statement at their public meeting.
To say that I am disappointed is an understatement.
She revealed Mr. Nash asked the board attorney if he could use the district's postal preferred rate. The attorney replied in an email.
Postal rules would require the mailer to indicate it came from the school district as a nonprofit government organization. This would appear to create a conflict since you are apparently desiring that the contents be yours rather than subject to the input of other board members.
The attorney suggested Mr. Nash ask Lexington's postmaster if using the discount was okay. But the chair of the board says,
on Thursday, October 10th, 2019, I asked Mr. Nash if he had contacted the postmaster, and he was honest that he did not.
Mr. Nash tells me he made a, quote, mistake going against the attorney's advice, and he apologizes. As I was digging for details on this story, though, I learned he's been accused of doing something similar before. Back in 2005, Mr. Nash ran for student body president at the University of Kentucky. He won, but then a lawsuit was filed claiming he used a university tax exemption number while purchasing campaign supplies, among other violations. After months of a court battle which made national news, Mr. Nash never took office. After this latest incident, this teacher says an apology isn't going to cut it.
I just am so disappointed, and I feel like he should step down. And I feel like the district should require him to step down. I absolutely love Fayette County Schools. We do so many good things. And in order to do that, I mean, when you send your child off to school, you want to be able to trust the people that are in charge of it. If it was a teacher that had gotten access to parent phone numbers, I feel like there'd be no question that we would have been let go. So why is it different for a school board member?
Why is it so different? And why is the district or the board not taking action? In Lexington, Claire Kopsky, LEX 18 News. That's the steady sound Teresa Estes and Brenda Bayarski have been working to for the past 7 years.
We can do that, but I need to move this one.
Their friendship began more than a decade ago when they both helped with their son's high school marching band uniforms.
After I started making the silks, and she was like, that looks like fun.
I said, I want to do that.
And that's where it went.
A horse racing silks company right in Teresa's basement.
Our first order, actually, we wrote on a paper napkin. because we were handing out business cards and we just didn't expect to get an order, and we got an order and we're like, oh gosh, what are we going to write it on? And the gentleman handed us a napkin. He said, here, and then he handed us cash.
Hundreds of silks later, the duo can thread the needle with a day's notice if need be.
The hat's done, and now the body of the jacket. They'll call and we want this color, we want this design, and that's it. And then we'll have others that'll come and, well, we kind of like this color. And this is our farm logo, and you know. So to call and say you want pink won't do. It's got to be what shade of pink.
After picking a design, if customers plan to race in New York, they'll need to make sure their design is up to snuff.
This is the Jockey Club's rules for what designs are acceptable and where to place them. So for example, this is 2 inches down in the front for a diamond and 4 inches down in the back for a diamond.
A tedious job to make sure fans can follow their favorite contenders.
And it's just fun to see it go from paper to actually, you know, a product. And then to see it maybe photographed in the winner's circle is really exciting. Or when we have horses in the Derby, like we do again this year, that just makes it really exciting.
Exciting, down to the last snap.
Now, something I thought was really interesting was that within one race, there could be multiple silks that are identical. Although it's unlikely, Triple Crown Silk says there's no rule against it. They do have 3 Derby contenders wearing their silks, so I can only imagine who they'll be betting on. Deanne Lee, back to you.
I see an old man. Old man Hale.
Dan Hale starts his morning with a fresh shave, and he has for decades.
I feel better if I shave. I don't feel right with a beard on my face.
He's 99 years old, and for 4 years he served under General Patton in World War II.
I shaved on the front lines. Take that old helmet, turn it upside down, get cold water in it, and I shaved right on the front line. My beard would get out long and aggravating. I never could stand it.
After a shave, he moves on to shining his shoes. It's a daily routine that reminds him of his grand adventure.
From Normandy Beach head to France. I wasn't in the first wave, I was in the second bunch. First wave had to wait in. Second wave, we went over the ship on cargo nets, down into a tugboat run us to the shore. Christmas Day of 1944, I think we were fighting in the Battle of the Budge. Snow on the ground and cold.
Despite those 2 horrific battles and others, Old Man Hale says nearly becoming a prisoner was worse.
Fighting in them hedgerows in France and Germany, that's the dangerous part. See, I come almost being a prisoner. First battle we jumped off here and we got pinned down behind the hedgerow.
But some of his friends were not so lucky.
I hope the good Lord took them home. That's the only thing I can say for them. I had lost a lot of good friends in that, right beside of it too.
This Memorial Day, he hopes all will take a moment to remember.
All the boys that fought for this country, you know what? That fought for it and died for it. They should know what they're living in, a good country. They should realize that.
A good country for which so many gave the ultimate sacrifice. In Laurel County, Claire Kopsky, LEX 18 News.